Welcome to the Workbench After Hours podcast. My name is Keith, and I'm your host. This is where we talk about the firearms community, shop talk, and everyday life experiences. Welcome back to episode 30 of the Workbench After Hours podcast.
Wow,
30.
This isn't 31?
Nope, this is number 30.
Okay.
Yes. Hey, still 30 weeks in a row that we've been doing this.
That's true.
So,
That's
yeah.
true.
Are they consecutive weeks?
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
consecutive weeks?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
We started early December-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Keith read that most people quit after, I think, like the average was
7 episodes.
7 episodes. And so if you just keep going, you start building up that algorithm and more people find your stuff. And
Man,
so you
that's
just
great.
keep getting after it.
Yeah, you just stay in the rhythm, because then if you like stop for a couple weeks, then it's hard to get back into it.
Mm-hmm.
So we just make it of course, once Hunter's baby comes, we're going to have to kind of have
Backlog
some
some episodes.
Yeah. But
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. You may see a new face here. We got obviously Chris and Hunter back with us as the two co-hosts. And our guest this week is Big Joe White, a.k.a. my dad.
Big Joe.
Big Joe. That's what you were always called when we were kids.
A lot of people still call me that.
But yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you. Thank
And
you, everybody. Good to be here.
We drink whiskey, which you like to do.
I do.
And
I
thanks to Big Joe White, we didn't know what we were going to drink. We were just going to pull something off the shelf, but he actually brought us the Jameson Black Barrel. We haven't done too many Irish whiskeys on the podcast yet. I think the only other one we've done is the...
I think we've done this one.
have we?
I think.
Maybe. The other one that we have done is
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor's...
What do they call that?
What was it called, Chris?
Proper
I don't
12.
remember.
Proper 12.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
I haven't had that.
It was good. And that's why we figured to try this, because kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I love Jameson, and I haven't had the Black Barrel, so this ought to be good.
It's really smooth. Because
Yeah,
it's like a
so-
charred something, right? Read the bottle.
Triple distilled Irish whiskey. I'll read about it and talk about it later, but we'll get a pour going because as a first-time comer,
Nice.
Joe is looking for a little liquid courage here, probably.
Oh man, no, I don't need liquid courage to star on this podcast. It's all good.
Well, when we make it big, and it's because you're on this episode.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Oh, yeah.
Those are cute drinks, fellas.
You should have seen the small amount that Hunter poured last week. He
I told him I
did a
wasn't
splash.
drinking, and he's still insisted on giving me a glass. So I was like, "All right, I'll
Why
pour
weren't-
a tiny spit."
Why weren't you drinking?
I was taking a little hiatus after the 4-day bender we did in Nashville.
That's right. I
Yeah, but
forgot about that.
That was a week later. You had plenty of time to recoup.
No, that was
3 days.
3 days, 2.5 days maybe.
That's plenty of time to recoup.
Sure. That's fair enough, but
All right.
I got a baby on the way. I got to start being responsible and
One night a week. Gotta...
Or, you're allowed to have 2 glasses a night.
but I knew the 4th was coming up, so I was like, well, obviously going to be drinking a decent amount that weekend, so just let the liver pink up a little bit before we
That's
roll
what the
it into the
doctor
4th.
said too. The doctor said 2 a night. And then he said, there's new guidelines. It's 1
I thought
a
it was
night.
whiskey a day
once
keeps
a
the
day.
doctor away.
True enough.
Yeah.
Well, and okay, 1 a day, fine. I'm going to increase the size of the glass.
Yep.
The vessel.
I didn't say.
Small trash can.
That's why you switched to on the rocks, because you don't have the mixer crap getting in the way.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
1 a day, but a 4-finger pour.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or a bottle.
So your go-to whiskey is Jim Beam, right?
Yeah, I'm cheap.
Hey, you actually got me into whiskey through Jim Beam.
Well, I mean, where the heck did I start drinking Jim? Oh, I started drinking Jim Beam at a buddy of mine's up in Chicago, Wade Weinzerl. He and his neighbor Bob the Enabler. We were all up there for a KU Northern Illinois football game, and we all stayed at Waden's house, and he put me on the Jim Beam, and I've been on it ever since. That was, golly, 10 years ago.
When he did that, did he give it to you on a rock, or was he having you mix it with Sprite or 7-Up?
It was with 7-Up.
Was it?
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
your kind of go-to now is 7-Up and Jim Beam, right?
It is, yeah. Although, I mean, I drink a lot more like this, just straight on the rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Beam, honestly, not a big fan of just drinking it
On the rocks is
on
not
the
good.
rocks.
No.
And it's not the greatest whiskey.
You must have had quite an impression on Keith because ever since I've known him, it's been Jim Beam, and then he'd do it with 7 or maybe a Coke or something every once in a while.
Yep.
You kind of, you just all of a sudden were hitting the Jim Beam, weren't you?
Yeah, because I hated whiskey for the longest time, and then
It takes a minute.
she had me. We were at a restaurant. I started liking old fashions. And she's like,
Yeah.
all right. And so I started mixing it with Jim Beam Pendletons too, because it's a lighter, good mixing whiskey. Mixing it with a lot of Sprite, and then you just kind of learn to pour a little
Yeah.
heavier, and then the next thing you know, you start trying different stuff on the rocks, and
Yeah.
then you got a big ass whiskey collection like we've kind of come up
Built
with.
up.
Yeah.
But like we've said on the last couple podcasts, we all have a new appreciation for Jack Daniels.
I do too. I've been drinking more Jack Daniels.
It's good.
That's usually
Yeah.
my go-to is Jack. So
And just
Straight up Jack.
yep.
number 7 is good on the rocks by itself.
That's
fine.
good to drink. Yeah, on the rocks. I was at a wedding last Saturday, and the only whiskey they had was the Beam, which is fine.
It's all right.
But at the last few weddings I had gone to, it was Jack Daniels, and it was kind of cool, just right on the rocks. So
when Murray and I bartend, I like it when they have Jack Daniels because I got to sneak a little bit for myself
Yeah.
as we're bartending. It's like if they have I'm not a big fan of Maker's Mark. I'm just not.
really,
Yeah. But when they have Jack Daniels, I'm like, hell yeah.
Which Maker's Mark? Because I got the
Just the regular.
regular.
I feel like Maker's Mark is just a more expensive mixing whiskey. You still want to mix it and make a cocktail out of it. You don't want it straight up. They just charge more for it.
right? I like Makers.
Yeah, I like.
God, it's crazy. I never thought I'd be a whiskey drinker, and now, I don't care what. You put it in front of me, I will drink it.
Yeah. That's good. That's how we are. That's how I am now. It's
Yeah, it's delicious.
I've got to say too, this has got zero kick to. There's no heat. It's just nice and smooth.
It's real smooth.
Yeah.
yeah, I like this.
Yep. I mean, it could be dangerous.
Yeah, I think
You
it's
get
going
it-
to be.
You get into a deep conversation, all of a sudden you're
Yeah,
way more in than you thought you
Yeah,
were.
because
Right.
it's easy to drink.
Yeah.
Like it's not like some of those whiskeys like that. Oh, the Oak and Eden that we tried. We tried one of those. I forget which one it was, but
yeah, they've got several. And one of them, the one that I had, because I think I put you on that Oak and Eden too, didn't
yeah,
I?
when we were in Wichita.
And my boss, Bob Shipley, put me on Oak and Eden, and I forget which one it was. But all I know is the sample that he gave me was ridiculously good, and I thought it was. I didn't buy. I'm too cheap to buy a bottle of it, but it's delicious.
Yeah.
So you guys didn't have the same.
It had a lot more burn, I guess, to it, and just
I think what it is the flavor was phenomenal, but it's one of those ones when you say sipper, it's like legitimately you're taking
sip.
the smallest amount in your mouth as possible, because if you accidentally even do like a quarter of a mouthful, the burn was pretty intense. But if you just sipped on it nice and slow, the flavor was awesome. You said, I don't know if it's the higher alcohol content or what, but it was, I don't know. I enjoyed it.
it's good.
Yeah.
I think I bought the cheapest bottle of Oak and Eden. Forgot what it was mixed with, but it was good.
Yeah. It is good.
I think our two favorite so far that's kind of unanimous is Woodford Reserve,
Yep.
Woodford's just,
and then we really like that Yellowstone, and I guess Yellowstone and Dickel though. That not the single barrel Dickel that we had in Nashville.
Tasty.
we got a Dickel barrel or a Dickel single barrel when we were in Tennessee, and it was like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
I had Dickel rye, and really haven't had a lot of experience with ryes, but it was good. I thought.
We haven't branched out in the rice yet.
I mean, when it really comes down to it, it's just the ratio of the mash.
Yeah.
I think
They flip it, don't they?
they do. I think for bourbon, it's supposed to be, it has to be 51% wheat typically the rest is corn and then a small percentage of rye. And then with like a Tennessee whiskey and American whiskey, it's, well, I guess when we went to Jack, they were using 80% corn, 18 or 16% wheat, 4% rye. But then when you go to the rye, they flip it on their heads. It has to be over 50% rye and then a combination of the other two for that. So
you guys learned all that on the Jack Daniels tour?
Yeah.
we learned
Pretty much.
we learned a lot of that, but we've also been, you know, it'll be 5 minutes until we're supposed to turn on the podcast and we're just all Googling like, hey, what about this whiskey, you know,
Right.
real quick. But I know typically for like Manhattans and old fashions, rye whiskey is typically what you would use for that. It's kind of shifted nowadays where people use bourbon more often, but traditionally it was made with a rye
Right.
instead of a bourbon.
Yeah.
So
The fun fact was Jameson gets their barrels from Jack Daniels.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
mhm.
Wow.
I don't know.
They buy like
all of
80%.
it.
No, it's like 80%.
Yeah.
We're like this one right here. Did
I
they
don't know.
use the?
I don't know.
chart
They didn't really
barrels?
She
say
didn't tell us that. I'm sure it's probably just for the classic Jameson.
What, do they ship them over to Ireland?
Yeah,
Yep.
well, they're done.
I'll be damned.
Because to make it a proper Tennessee whiskey, after they char the, what is it, white
It's an oak.
White oak.
barrel.
white oak,
Yep.
after they char it and they store their whiskey in it for one round, if they were to do it twice, it no longer would be considered like the traditional Tennessee style. And so they use a fresh white oak barrel that's just freshly been charred every single time. And then they ship them off. Some of them people buy for, you know, keepsakes, or they make the little bars out of them. But a lot of it gets sent to other whiskey distilleries, and then they just reuse the barrels.
Yeah, because Jameson was one of them, and they said Tabasco sauce.
Yeah,
No kidding.
Yeah, because they lacto ferment Tabasco, which just means you just put the pepper mash in with like 4% salt water, and it lacto ferments. It doesn't. There's no yeast involved, but that's what makes that vinegary taste, and then it breaks down the peppers, and then you blend it, and that's pretty much how they make their hot sauce. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
There you go. I'm glad we brought Hunter because he remembers all this stuff. I don't. Like all the mixtures for the mash, I'm like, I don't remember. I know the ingredients, but as far as the ratio, I'm like,
Yeah, I just remember she said they flip it on the rye for when it comes to Jack, whatever the rye was in
It's
the
just pretty
corn, they
much
just flip them.
Opposite.
Yeah.
And they just said rye just gives you that spicier taste to it. Not
Yep.
necessarily like alcohol burn, but just like on the back of the tongue, that like black pepper spicy taste
Yep.
to it.
not to change the subject, but look at that little tattoo Chris is teasing us with. A little bit of tattoo showing.
Because of sunglasses.
Oh, nice.
This dude,
Did you just
that
run
new?
into your microphone?
yeah, I headbutted it again as I was looking forward.
Is that thing new?
No.
No?
He's got full blown chest tat, and for the longest time, every time I was around him, because he hides it really well, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I got some tattoos," and he showed me he's like half his upper torso is just freaking covered.
Damn, you need a Harley.
No, wife won't let me have one.
Otherwise you would.
Yeah.
he has permission to buy a brand new boat.
But
Really?
imagine how badass he'll look driving shirtless on Keith's moped he just got.
You have a moped?
Well, I bought the lady that I'm selling all these guns for. She had like 3 or 4 mopeds, and I'm like, Jacob Malner, you remember him from high school?
Yeah.
He's really good friends with her son, and they had these mopeds that they wanted to get rid of.
Like the cut type with the pedals and everything?
the pedals.
Yeah, and like some of the original mopeds, they had like little pedals that you could kind of get it started.
No,
to get the motor started and everything.
This is more of a. So this is actually made by a company that was in Kansas City, or somewhere around here. They went out of business, but they were like a brand made locally. But it looks like it's a 250cc. Looks like an actual.
Little Vespa.
Like a Vespa.
Yeah, it's blue. But Jacob is actually, it's at Jacob's house. He's going to go through it and get it all up to par for me. And then because
That's cool.
in Kansas, if it's a 49cc or under, you don't have to have a
Registration.
Yeah, you don't have to have a title or register it or anything. It's a 250cc, but it looks like a 49cc. So we're like, she didn't have the title for it, so I'm like, that's all right. I'll just drive it around here
And now we got these freshly paved roads all through the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
That's kick ass.
need for speed around here.
Oh yeah.
At least he can sit down on this one and not go over the handlebars.
Yeah,
Shit.
and it was super cheap. She only wanted like $300 for it because it doesn't have a title. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah, Keith, don't hit a sharp curb on this one, because if you flip over this one, I don't think you're surviving.
I don't think you need to be on two
97
wheels.
97 miles to the gallon, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably something like that.
Yeah. Did we talk about that in the last podcast? My scooter crash.
If we haven't, I'll tell the story again
I think
gladly.
that's one thing that we forgot to talk about.
So when we were down in Nashville, Joe and Alan were like, "We're just gonna Uber. We shouldn't be driving these if we've been drinking." And Keith, Chris, and
Who
I
said
were-
that?
Alan and Joe.
Oh man, fellas.
Keith, Chris, and I were like, "All right, enjoy your Uber ride. We'll freaking get these things all revved up." We're cruising around. We're taking the long way back to the Airbnb, and Keith and I were riding, and I popped up on the sidewalk because up ahead it was only a 2-lane road, and they were doing construction on part of it, and so Keith was either going to stay on the road and be like in oncoming traffic, or he needed to pop up. And these curbs were like the 90-degree angle ones, not like neighborhood curbs like these where you can just pull up over it. They're actual curbs, but there was a driveway that was coming down, and so it was graded down so you could get up, and Keith just mistimed it just barely and clipped the edge of the driveway where it started bouncing back up. He goes over the handlebars, and I'm watching it going.
Oh, over the handlebars?
I'm going.
Oh man,
he's
that's
gonna
no
kill
bueno.
himself.
These things go like got them up to like 25 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Like,
if you're going downhill, it's like 25. If you're going uphill, it's like 18, but flat ground, it was like 21, 22.
Fast enough.
And so he hits this thing. The scooter just comes to a complete stop. Keith flies over the top, manages to get a leg down, and it looked like it was in slow motion. It was the longest, most drawn out run I've ever seen. He's doing full windmill with his arms, and then he somehow manages not to hurt himself at all and catch himself. But it wasn't until the last step where he finally stopped himself, he rolled his ankle. So he almost got completely scot-free through the whole thing, and then at the last step he rolled his ankle.
Well, the whole time I'm like going like this because I'm like, if I fall, this is straight concrete. It's gonna hurt. I'm gonna get all scraped up. So I tried everything to keep my balance, and that's when I stopped really hard. And I was feeling that for a few days.
That happened to your Uncle Rich out in San Francisco. He was riding his bike when he was doing that job out there in Tiburon, San Francisco. He was out riding his bike up on Mount Tam, and that's where James Hetfield from Metallica lives. They're from San Francisco, and he wrecked his bike at just like that, at the end of James Hetfield's driveway. Took a tumble. He didn't meet him or anything like that.
That
I
sucks.
said, "Shit, man, you should have freaking sued him."
Lars would have came out there and yelled him to get off his property.
Yeah, no
That's a
shit.
jerk.
Actually, that's funny too. Mama and I, we were out in Martha's Vineyard years ago. I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and we rented I guess it was a moped. It was
Were you seated or standing?
We were seated.
They didn't have
And
those standing ones back then.
They warned us, because I mean, it's Martha's Vineyard's beaches everywhere. There's sand everywhere, and they warned us to be very careful on the sandy roads. The speed limit was like 35 or 40 for cars, but for these mopeds it was 25. And of course, I went faster than 25.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I didn't respect the warning enough, and I hit this patch of sand and just went down, and it hurt. And
Road rash like crazy.
I blamed Michelle, because it's her. I blamed it. I did not want to rent these things, or this thing. It's probably my fault, because I was too cheap to get 2 of them. I said, "No, we'll get 1, and you can ride on the back." And I blamed her for shifting her weight too fast and behind me, and down we went.
Took the easy way out, huh?
Yeah, it was funny, but she was yelling at me, and I was yelling at her. Traffic's flying past us.
Did you get some road rash? Or
Oh yeah, I got a lot of road rash.
what about Michelle?
She was fine. She was fine. I don't think she actually fell. She got her foot down and stayed on her feet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was
I can
hoping to
see
see Keith. I thought he was about to lose his balance. I thought he was going to pull off like a sweet ninja roll and pop up and be like, nothing happened. But
I was
didn't
going too
happen.
fast for that, and then the concrete. Maybe if I was
sucks.
younger. But hey, I was a little thrown aback, and I was looking around. A couple people saw me, but I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm never gonna see these people again." Picked up the scooter and just took off.
took it off. I was getting wild. We had probably a little too much to drink. I was ramping it off shit and stuff, but I was going fast. I was like, there was a couple times where I fishtailed a little bit, and I'm like, ooh, if I flipped over on that one, that would have been bad.
Some ice.
Oh yeah, thank you.
No,
Some
there's a
ice in
couple
there.
times I heard you hitting that curb.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
God.
wheeling up it and
Yeah.
then like popping it up, and the back tire was hitting that curb. I was like, I'm probably gonna pop a tire here,
Yeah.
but fuck it. And then we get so close to home, and I think I was the only one who had GPS up, and Chris is like, no, we got to keep going this way. So he disappears and keeps going like way down the street. Keith and I are stuck at this light. The light finally turns green, and then you see Chris hauling ass coming back like, oh yeah, it is this way. So
You know this whiskey must be good if Chris is pouring himself another glass.
Yeah.
He rarely does that.
This is ridiculously good.
Told you, it's so
Smooth.
easy to drink.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I like this.
So, switching subjects a little bit. Usually, everybody that we have on kind of talk about guns, how they got into them, what their experiences. You're kind of newer to guns, right?
I'm new to owning guns.
Okay.
I've fired a lot of guns, but
Never with me.
no, never with you.
No, we did one time down in Wichita. I take that back.
Oh yeah, out on Brian's farm. Yeah,
Yes.
on the family farm. Right.
But other than that, yeah.
sounds like you guys need to hit the range together.
Keith brought a bag full of guns down there, and that was fun.
Hell, yeah.
That was fun. We need to get back down there and do it. I've got that AR-15 that I've never shot one round. I've got all this ammo. I'm ready. I
Right?
haven't done it, and then I got that awesome shotgun, that 12 gauge
Yeah, so he
Mossberg.
and you decided because you
Is it a 500?
It's a 590
590 Mariner. So it's
A1.
Mhm.
Yeah,
590 A1 Mariner. It's freaking
it's pretty slick, man.
that model is with the
Is
military.
it a pump action?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Military uses that one, but it's got this. It's like stainless steel looking.
it's kick ass.
It's got this. The coating on it keeps it from rusting. That's why they call it
Gotcha.
Mariner, because if you use it, like if you're, like seawater.
I
or
bought it
something
because
like
it looked kick ass.
Yeah.
I haven't shot it.
That's half the reason why you buy guns, right?
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It is. So yeah, that was. So why? What made you decide to buy those? Because I remember when I first started getting into guns, and I bought an AR and then another one. You're like, why do you need an AR? And I was like, why not? And now you have one. What made you change your mind and wanting to get one?
Well, I mean, I thought with everything going on with the defund the police movement and all of that crap, it was kind of the great unknown what was going to happen. I mean, I felt like we were probably pretty safe here in the heart of the country, but you never know. I mean, like I'm by myself now with mom gone. I'm like, I think I probably ought to,
And-
be able to defend my household.
And this is when a lot of those riots and stuff were going on to where you had crowds of people, and it's
Yeah.
like you don't want a pistol. These freaking there's like a fleet, like a gnat in here, drive me nuts. But you don't want to be in one of those crowds stuck with a little pistol with like 7 rounds. You need
Right.
something with a little more.
Well, and I'm not, honestly, I'm not even, I'm not some great shot either, but you really don't have to be with that 12 gauge. I mean, point and shoot,
To an
somebody like
extent.
breaks your door down, you're probably going to hit him. without having a lot of experience with that 12 gauge. So
With you living in an apartment, you got to be careful though, because then you got somebody below you and probably somebody on one side of you at least, right?
yeah, there's some on one side only.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
You got to be careful.
what do you have, if you're using it for home defense, what do you have loaded? Do you have birdshot, buckshot? Do you know?
It's double-aught buck. Actually, it's not loaded. I've just got 5 on the stock.
Yeah.
On the sleeve.
A button-up thing like you have.
Yep.
I'm a little leery of keeping it loaded.
Sure.
You never know.
Sure.
But
I'm the same way. I've got my pistol and I've got the magazine sitting next to it, but I don't actually have a round chamber. Just,
yeah,
I don't know.
you just never know.
We've got people over at our house all the time. It's like, if someone were to find that, and I need to get a gun safe is what I really need
Yeah.
to do. But at the same time, if you're trying to protect your home, what are you going to do?
You wanna be ready.
Be like, hey, can you hold on a second? I got to type this code in really quick. Please,
Right.
please don't stop murdering yet. Let me get this out first. So,
Yeah.
but what I was going to say is maybe in the apartment setting, if you use birdshot, if you pepper somebody up pretty good, it's not going to kill them, but they're definitely going to think twice about what they're doing. But with that buckshot, there's a good chance that could travel through a wall into the next person's apartment.
Well, where I
And now you've
am
gotta
is, the front door of my apartment. It's down at the bottom of a staircase. To the wall to the right just opens out to the outside. And you'd have to literally go all the way through the apartment to the east to get to the wall, like over in the wall in the bedroom, the back bedroom would be where the only wall that would really penetrate into
able to
another
penetrate through.
apartment.
Sure.
So,
The way
the front door there,
if he misses, it's just gonna go outside.
You're aiming
Yeah.
down and there's nobody below you.
right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, so
I mean, now granted, I guess technically there is somebody below me. I would literally have to shoot straight down, but shooting down the stairs at somebody coming through the front door,
Sure.
I mean, if I miss them, it's just going to hit the door or go outside or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yep.
but
I only brought that up. Keith and I can't remember if Chris was on that podcast, but we talked about like the room travel or the wall travel that a bullet can penetrate through. And actually, we found out, you would think it would be opposite of this, but a pistol round, like a 9mm or a 45 or whatever, will actually penetrate through way more walls than like an AR would, because the velocity of the bullet, the second that AR bullet hits anything, it's traveling so fast, it's going to fracture a lot faster, and then it's just shards, and then those can't penetrate as far. But if it's
such a little round, too.
right,
It's tiny little 22.
but then if you've got a 9mm and you shoot it, the weight of the bullet plus that it's not traveling at a super crazy fast speed, it's going to actually penetrate through more walls of the house. And so that's like something, if you have kids in the house or maybe a dog in the other room, that's one of those ones you got to make sure your shot's on point, because you could be going through several walls.
You know what? I think there's an easy solution for this. What you're saying is we should all get flamethrowers. With a flamethrower, even if it lights the apartment next door on fire, there's going to be plenty of time for everybody to get out. It
Yep.
won't just be some round coming through the wall, some
Yep.
random round, boom, and the
Right.
lights go out.
Yeah.
Flamethrowers.
And I was thinking,
actually
I was
get- I can
thinking
actually get some.
claymores. I was thinking claymores earlier,
Claymore.
but Keith shut that.
Yeah.
Keith shut that down really fast.
Call
He's
of
like,
Duty.
"What happens if your dog gets out and then he trips it?" I'm like, "Well, we'll keep them locked up or whatever. And if they try and walk up the stairs,
At least it's just a dog.
legs are gone." So you're trying to come axe murder my family. You walk up the stairs, boom, your legs are gone. Good to go.
I've seen a lot of dogs hobbling around with 3 legs, sometimes some even 2.
Yeah.
You know?
You get the little,
little scooter in the back.
wheelie thing
Yeah.
for 'em. Good to go.
Yeah, right.
Heck yeah.
So, but anyway, that and just the talk of restricting gun sales and all of that stuff. It's like, well, maybe I should get a gun now or 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just in case it's harder down the road.
Well,
But-
I think Keith uses this on everybody, but that was his sales pitch to me when I first bought my pistol. He's like, "Well, they're getting pretty hard to find. You might as well get it now while you can." And I
Well,
was like,
then-
Yeah.
"Oh, okay.
Then they
Here,
were.
Keith, let me give you a little commission check as you sell me this gun." No, I'm just kidding. Keith hooked
were.
me up with the neighbor price, but
Because yeah, that was back when like you couldn't get anything, especially Glocks, because everybody wanted one. They bought them all up. So that was yours.
okay,
What a different scenario.
I need to get another pistol.
okay, Big Joe. Just so we interrupted you a little bit. So you've got the shotgun, you've got the AR. What's the third gun you have?
It's this Taurus 38 revolver. But I'm sure it's kick ass.
Have you shot it yet?
Nope.
That was actually my mom's gun.
It was Michelle's gun.
Okay.
That was a gift from a buddy of mine to her. And I don't know. I was talking to Keith about this the other day. I need to buy another smaller semi-automatic pistol from him because I'd like to get my concealed carry. You're not carrying around that revolver.
No.
It's heavy, and I mean, it's
38
bulky.
It doesn't have enough stopping power.
You can still get the conceal and carry though while you're shopping around for your next pistol that you want to get.
Yeah. Well, what was the one that you showed me the other night?
Springfield Hellcat Pro.
That's right. Yeah, I like that. That's right, just about the right size, light, easily concealable.
Holds 15 rounds.
Side by
Yeah.
side for a conceal and carry, which is awesome.
Yeah,
And instead of 9 rounds, you get
15.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
'Cause
Cool gun.
Yeah, because the Glocks were the first ones to come out, so they are a lot thicker with their double stack, whereas everybody now is coming out with double stacks but thinner, however they do it. But
right.
Yeah.
the Glocks are a lot more thicker on the double stack like yours.
What caliber is that Springfield?
9.
It's a 9.
According to Joe
plenty of
Biden.
stopping power.
According to Joe Biden, that's a terrible round. We need to ban it because it makes people's lungs explode. Did you hear that?
Did
Joe
you see?
Biden.
Did
Oh,
you see the
boy.
video of him saying you can sum up the American people in one word, and then he went. Blah, 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 blah. It made zero sense, and then there
Was
a
that the
long
one that
pause?
was that the one that Tucker Carlson did the bit on? And he goes, "You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? All you got to do is blah 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 blah."
I'm
And
not sure.
It was hilarious.
I just saw the clip on, like, as a short clip on YouTube, but he said you can sum up America in one word, and he paused for a second, and then he started to talk, and it was probably, I don't know, 15 syllables of just straight gibberish. You're like, what the hell
blabber-
did this guy just
blubber.
say?
Man, did you hear him the other day say that with the hurricane season starting, with hurricane season upon us, the best thing that you can do is get vaccinated or something like that's not verbatim.
Yeah.
But he basically said we all need to get out and get vaccinated because hurricane season's here. Like, what the fuck is that guy talking
That
about?
wind is going to blow the COVID around into everybody.
I mean, on one side, if you live in an area where you're affected by hurricanes and say you have to take safety shelter in an area where you're going to be packed in like sardines.
Kind of like this State Stadium back with, what was it, Katrina?
Trina.
Yep. Okay, that might make a little sense, but explain it that way. Don't just say broad stroke and be like, "Hey, hurricane season, let's all get vaccinated." It
Well,
makes
what's
zero
crazy
sense.
is that he keeps on, well, honestly, I hadn't really heard too much more, jibber jabber about the vaccine until that little line. But it's like, come on. I mean, I just asked Dr. Fauci about getting all these vaccines and wearing all these masks and still getting COVID. I mean, he just got it, a few weeks
Right.
ago. And it's like,
Fauci?
yeah. Yeah. And it's like, come on. I mean, it's not the end all be all.
You like that, huh?
Yeah, I was trying to get your attention for some ice. I didn't want to have to stop the podcast.
Mute your,
Yeah,
your
this is
mic.
delicious.
It is. I think I accidentally muted Chris's mic. I actually, I've armed Chris's whole family.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. I obviously.
Children too?
Oh yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So his brothers he bought several guns. He's got the bug now.
Nathan?
Yep, Nathan. His dad Steve bought What did he buy?
Springfield Saint, I think, from you.
Springfield Saint for me.
Oh,
Same-
really?
same
He's
one
got
you
the AR-15?
Yep.
Nice. Bob Shipley got one of
Yeah.
those. Not from you, but I forget where he said he got that. Some gun store in Olathe.
What a jerk! Didn't buy it from me.
He paid what I paid though. I think he paid the same price that you charged me, and he didn't get he didn't come with the carrying case.
What?
That nifty.
Oh, he got screwed. Take it back.
Don't listen to him, Bob.
They've come down a little bit in price. They're not as bad as they were. Everything's starting to come down. So like AR stuff was like really expensive. Like to get a lower was like stupid, but now it's all kind of coming back to normal. But the more of these mass shootings that we see, people kind of panic buy. So then prices, they're fluctuating like crazy, but for the most part coming back down for now.
For now.
For now.
Is it easier to get ammo now too, or
For now.
For the most part.
Yeah, I need to go buy a couple more boxes of 9mm before it starts skyrocketing.
You
again.
need to have at least 1,000 rounds
Per caliber.
per caliber, just set aside.
I've got 1,000 of the 223.
Yep.
I've got like 1,200 or something like that. I don't know.
Because you bought the Full Metal Jacket Target stuff, but then you also bought hollow points.
Yeah, I got 200 hollow points. Little tiny hollow points.
Where
They're
did
cute.
you bought your stuff during kind of the height of COVID when ammo wasn't available? You found it on some website,
It was
right?
Good to Go ammo. Rich, your uncle Rich put me on to Good to Go ammo. He says that's where he gets all his ammo, and so I did. But I mean, they said it was a 3-month back order. Dude, it was like 9 months. No kidding. It was 9 months before all that ammo came in, but I got it all. It's
You
like
might as-
$500 for like 1,200 rounds
Might as
total.
well have bought a suppressor because that's the waiting period for a suppressor is about 9 to 10 months.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Has that been affected at all by the delay on everything right now?
I don't think so.
Okay, so real quick, Uncle Joe, may I call you Uncle Joe?
You can call me whatever you want, man.
Did you ever imagine that old band nerd Keith walking around playing the saxophone would ever get this involved and this intense into guns?
No, I never saw it coming, but I'm glad he did. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I never had any real affinity for guns. I wasn't anti-gun in any way. I just never got into them.
Yeah.
You know, all my buddies hunted forever, and some of them still do. But, you know, they've all had guns, but I never had any. But I think they're awesome, and
Yeah.
I respect everybody's right to keep and bear arms. You know, so I'm glad that I never saw it coming.
Yeah.
How did you get started?
Micah, he
It was Micah.
because we didn't grow up around guns or anything, so I didn't all the way through college never shot a gun. Micah started getting in the prepping, and one of the things was having guns for self-defense, and so he bought a Springfield 40 caliber pistol. And then when I was in town, because that's when I was traveling for work, he's like, "Hey man, you need to get a gun for, you know, self-defense and all this stuff." I'm like, "Dude, I've never shot. I don't know what to do." And he took me out shooting, and several years later, I own a gun business. So I just
Did he take you to a range? Or?
yeah, he took me to. We went up to Centerfire.
Oh,
and-
right. In Olathe?
Yeah, in Olathe. I do nothing. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like, I didn't even know how to load a magazine. I'm like, I had to have him do it the first couple times we were going there because I'm like, I don't know what to do. And but yeah, after I shot it, I'm like, that's kind of cool. We went back again. I'm like, all right. And then I started looking up guns, and I bought that same one that he had that I learned on, found it on Gunbroker. And then I'm like, oh, well, I want to try the 9mm version. So I bought a 9mm Springfield, and then I ended up buying an AR and then a shotgun.
When you got that first pistol and you went to Centerfire, did you just kind of go for it yourself, or did you have somebody there, like a instructor, kind of show you the ropes?
Just Micah.
Just Micah?
He's like, all right, this is how you hold it. And I did pretty good shooting for. He's like, I was kind of impressed, especially with the 40 caliber because it's a little snappier. But yeah, no training or whatever. Just kind of, he showed me how to hold it and what to do. And
Practice, practice, practice.
yeah.
That's why I got to get out shooting.
Yeah, now Keith's forgot everything that he's learned. Last time we went out shooting, he stood sideways and held the gun sideways and just shot it like this the whole time.
Where did you guys go shooting?
I'm pretty sure if you look at that shooting video, that's Hunter.
Was that place like that house up
His
there?
cousin's
Brandon.
Brandon's place.
Oh, was that Brandon's?
Yeah, he doesn't live there anymore, which sucks because now we can't go shoot there.
Where is that?
It was in outside of Holden.
Oh, yeah, right.
It took
right.
us like almost an hour to get there.
Where
Yeah.
was that place up in Leavenworth or Leavenworth
Oh.
County that you were talking about?
I don't remember.
I need to find some place like that.
It was my buddy Ryan. Maybe he could take us back out there because he wants to go shooting. He wants to shoot that Tavor bullpup rifle.
Oh,
I think it's awesome.
I want to shoot it so bad.
But he showed me that spot, and it wasn't like it was just there's a field and then a power plant. Like it's on the I want to say the north side of Leavenworth.
So it's not private property? That you're
No, like
shooting on?
like there's a road, like there's a neighborhood, but then you go to this like access road that is at the bottom of this bluff, and it's next to the train tracks, so nobody owns that property. And then you
Except
have,
for the railroad.
Yeah.
well, yeah,
That seems a little sketchy.
but no, it was like we went out there several times, and you can tell a lot of people go out there to shoot because there's bullet holes and everything, targets and stuff left over.
You'll have to
and
find that spot and take me to it. I need a good spot
just
without
sucks.
having to go to the range.
Yeah,
You know?
I hate going indoor ranges now.
Yep.
It sucks. If God, I need to see if he can figure out where that was. If not, we need to find somewhere closer.
Bob, I keep bringing up Bob, one of my bosses. His brother has a farm up in Atchison, and you know Bob's got all these guns now, and he likes to shoot long distance, like sniper style. And he says that they've got plenty of room out there where he's got like some big steel plate that he likes to shoot at.
How far is Atchison from here?
Oh, it's probably I don't know, maybe 50 minutes to an hour.
Oh, yeah.
It's north of Leavenworth on 7
Yeah.
Highway.
I was gonna say 45, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you talk to Bob and see if we could all just go up there?
I can ask him. Yeah, it was funny because when he got his AR, he brought it in and showed it to me. It was a few weeks ago. He asked me, what kind of AR did you say you had? And I said, a Springfield Saint. And he goes, oh man, I just bought the same thing. And he showed it to me. He had it out in the truck. And I said, man, I still haven't shot this one. Or I haven't shot mine. And he goes, man, we'll have to get up to Atchison one of these days and we'll go do some shooting.
Hell yeah.
I said, all right. So
It'd be better shooting at a metal plate versus we just,
Made our own little targets.
yeah.
yeah.
And then you got the power plant. It's like, I don't know what's over that way. So if he's got Brandon's spot was pretty nice, but doesn't have it anymore.
Brandon's spot was nice, yeah. And we're shooting off of a deck, a balcony down. Which
Yeah,
just
I
made it
saw the
feel
video.
cooler.
Yeah.
And then at this point, I probably could just invite Keith down, Keith and Marie. But at Jasmine's parents' lake house at the Ozarks, Bryant's parents had this property, but then he also way off like mainland bought a shop with a bunch of acreage. And we were out there one day kind of cleaning it up, mowing and stuff. And one of the guys came down and was like, you guys like to shoot guns? And we're like, yeah. He's like, well, when you guys aren't here, we use it, it's shooting into this hill. That's our property, but we kind of stand on your guys' property and shoot into this hill. And he's like, if you guys ever want to shoot, we don't care. And so we're like, all right.
That's
hell
awesome.
yeah. And so every
Oh.
time we go down there now, we, fire off a few rounds. And Bryant went and bought those. It's like a big, I don't know, it's probably 6 feet tall. And it's got huge metal.
Like an A-frame with targets on it.
Yep. And you just shoot, they're just metal. And then, in between rounds, you just go take a little orange spray paint because the whole thing's orange. And you just go spray paint over the targets again real quick. And so you can see, where you're hitting and kind of track it down a little bit. But yeah.
So how many guns I know Keith has 2 Safefuls or whatever guns. How many guns do both of you guys have?
I think I got about 10.
10?
5 rifles, 5 handguns.
Nice.
So functional.
How about you, Hunter?
So functional, like, guns you'd use on an everyday basis if you could. I've got the bifecta. Keith's trying to get me to get the trifecta. So I've got
Is that a shotgun or a rifle?
I've got a shotgun. I've got a Mossberg 500. I've got my Glock 19.
17.
17.
Oh, sorry, 17. And he's just been on me about getting an AR. He wants me to have a rifle, shotgun, pistol.
He's probably right.
But then I've got it's the funniest little gun. It's a little revolver that takes a 22 long rifle. and you have to. It looks like a revolver, but you pop it out of the side.
Oh, I've
and-
seen
and
those,
It can only
yeah.
fit one shell in it, so the rest of the chambers of the revolver are just there for show. I guess you can only put one.
Dummy chambers.
Exactly. And it's for a 22. And then my grandpa gave me this. It's an Ithaca. It's a 12 gauge single shot shotgun, but it's kind of cool. You use a lever. It's a break apart, so you use the lever to break it apart, but you can only put one shell in it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen those in the movies.
It's kind of unique. It's a very weird looking gun, but I took it out when we went to Brandon's property to shoot it, and we're shooting the modern shotguns. It's like, yeah, this is, working great. You shoot one out of that, and it's like, God damn it, I just dislocated my shoulder. What the hell's
I
going
don't
on
want to
here?
shoot this anymore.
Right?
Was it loud?
Yeah, it was loud, but the main part is it's a full-on wooden stock. There's nothing to it besides the fact that it's just a wooden stock with just this tiniest little rubber strip on the base of it. So when you shoot, it does not.
It doesn't give.
It doesn't take any of the recoil, and then the next day you wake up and you have to go snap your shoulder back in place because just dislocated.
You could put a recoil pad on the back of that, make it a little bit better.
I know. Well, and so it can shoot a 3-inch shell.
3.5 inch, right? Or is it just 3?
That one was just 3.5 inch was
Mossberg.
for the Mossberg.
Okay.
But I had a 3-inch double buck shell, and I shot it through that, and I literally, like when you bang your elbow and you hit your funny bone.
Oh, yeah.
And my whole arm went tingly and numb like that. But I was like, okay, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, if somebody comes breaking into your house, you better make sure you hit them with the first shot.
On the first shot.
Yeah.
Because not only can you not feel your arm, then you have to break it apart, pull that one shell out, put the next one in, snap
Well,
it back
and
together.
now you got a baby on the way. You're going to have a family. You can't defend your family with that thing. You got to get the AR.
Got to get the AR. I've got the Mossberg 500. It's Keith's old one that's got the breacher barrel on it. It's the shortened barrel. And then
How many rounds does that thing hold? What, a 3.5 inch?
Well, he just used 2 3/4 inch.
So the home defense rounds that I have are 3-inch. So I can do 4 in the chamber, 4 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber.
Yeah.
So 5 rounds total.
Yeah, that's what I got.
4 in the tube.
590. Yeah.
4 in the tube. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
We had to, when Hunter started this podcast, we had to correct him several times of the difference between a clip and a magazine.
Yep.
And he's beat it into my head so hard now that anytime I hear someone refer to a magazine as a clip, I'm like, you are wrong, motherfucker.
You are wrong.
Wrong.
But it is funny because in movies, especially action movies, they're like, oh, give me another clip, or whatever. And it just makes you think that's the vernacular you're supposed to use. But Keith's like, unless it's a M1 Grand and there's actually a clip attached to it that springs it out, it's a magazine.
Really? So
Yep.
that's the difference.
There's older guns that have, especially like the M1 Grand that most people know, the rounds would come 5 on a stripper clip. It's just this clip that the rounds go into, and then you push it down into the top of the receiver of the gun, and then with the M1 Grands, once you're out, that clip pops out, and
That's where you hear the ping when you run out of.
Whereas a magazine is you load it one at a time and then click it in.
Yep. And that's what sucked about that was a downside to the M1 Grand during the war, because they would wait to hear that ping and then knew you were out.
Shit.
Yeah. But my Mosin the Gaunts technically have a magazine, but you can get stripper clips for them. So you put them on this 5-round stripper clip, and then you push it down into the receiver, and that stripper clip actually comes out before you shoot it. But yeah, most of the older guns take the clips.
Do they call it a stripper clip because all the local peelers like to carry that type of gun? Hey.
Maybe, I don't know.
That's got to be where it got its name.
No, but it is funny because there's guys I talk to who think they're pretty into guns, and the amount of times I hear them call it a clip versus a magazine, And I'm like, how many times am I gonna have to correct you?
I mean, I don't
That's kick ass.
Damn magazine.
You're
is not
wrong,
what-
motherfucker.
Right.
I mean, it's
And it's
That's
all
funny.
because of Keith, because he beat it in my head over and over again. Every time I'd call it a clip, he'd be like, "It's a
First thing that happen,
magazine.
snap that head, look at you with those eyes like, motherfucker, you know better.
yeah." If you go back to the older podcast, if I had ever called a clip, Keith would just almost break his neck looking at me like, "Hey man, you know we don't call it a clip." It's a
Yeah.
magazine."
so now he knows.
Hey, at least he didn't have you wired for like electric shock treatment every time you misspeak.
If you want to see some really entertaining stuff, a couple of the first podcasts we did when they get a little too long, get bored. We used to have the desk way over here, so I'd grab like that bayonet. I'm like pulling it
playing it.
out, waving it around while Keith's talking. I'm like, we got to stay on topic here. damn it."
Hunter suffers from ADD. He gets bored real quick.
A little distracted a little.
That's why
quick.
if you watch
That's
the
okay.
podcast, he like Chris does not touch his microphone. I'm like, dude, if you got to adjust it, adjust it. Won't touch it. Hunter is over there constantly doing this.
I've got mine set. I'm
Yep.
good.
And Hunter, you'll notice has a different microphone than the rest of us.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Because he moves around so much that with these dynamic microphones that you and I have, you have to stay in front of it for the most part or talk off to the side. But
I can talk
Close.
over here. But for the longest time, I've gotten better. I probably could graduate to one of the nicer microphones. But for the longest time, you know, him and Chris would be talking about, well, you need so many gallons of water to survive this long, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, I'm freaking off over here in La La Land. And I'm leaning back like this trying to talk. And so this just helps catch my voice from more angles.
yeah, so he uses a condenser mic, which picks up a little bit more than these dynamic microphones you got to be
Yeah.
right in front of. But unfortunately, with his microphone, it picks up a lot more background noise. So whatever's around you. Luckily, we don't really have anything other than a fan right there, but it'll pick up more just
Noises.
general noise.
And you probably didn't notice this, but earlier when I was opening up the bottle again, Keith muted my mic because that squeak of the cork would have been picked up by this, and that everybody would
Man.
have heard that. So
yeah,
Pretty cool.
yeah. Lots of
It looks cool. I mean, it looks like a kick-ass
called
mic.
the neat worker bee.
and Keith is so on top of everything that I'm allowed to be over here and over here. And he's constantly adjusting
Yep, I'm
volume and everything the whole time. So
Yeah.
Does he ever just look at you and say, "Would you please fucking sit
Oh,
still?"
my-
Jesus.
We had a sign up here on his mic that says, talk in the mic and just sit still.
he gives me every once in a while. I'll be talking and I'll be like leaning back hard, and I'll just get a side eye from him, like, "You motherfucker, get closer to that mic."
Well, because I can't. Our phones are being used for cameras, so it's not like I can text them and be like, "Hey, scoot closer to your mic" or something. There's a different interface that has a talkback button to where I could press it and be like, "Hey, dumbass, get closer to the microphone," and it wouldn't pick up in the audio or the recording. But unfortunately, I don't have that. So if I yell at him, everybody's gonna hear it.
Yeah.
So I'll just start mean mugging him until he sees
He
it.
does. I get
Mean
I,
mugging.
I see that side eye, and I'm like, "Oh shit! I don't know what I was doing wrong, but I'm gonna sit up straight, bring the mic up close."
I'm sorry, Dad.
Joe White likes this whiskey. It's
I
good,
do.
isn't it?
Man.
I do too. Chris and I have done 2 heavy pours.
It's
Yep.
easy.
Are you on your first?
Second, I've had two.
Sure you have.
Yeah. All right, go back and watch.
Our sponsor for tonight's show is Jameson Irish Whiskey.
I wish they were a sponsor.
Wouldn't that be
I know I
awesome?
talked about that last time. I keep watching all these whiskey reviews and people are getting free whiskeys that they get to try. I
Really?
was like, man,
How do we make that happen?
that's
Just
what I
get-
said.
just
I think we have to be able to describe what we're tasting a lot better than what we actually do.
And not even that, really. I think you just need to give it some time because most podcasts don't actually start picking up steam until like episode 50 or something like that. You know, it takes a while of constant content being produced and put out before it starts picking up some steam, and then people are really getting into it. So
Yeah. What
You
sucks
know.
is after the COVID shut down, everybody and their mother decided to start a podcast.
Yeah.
Especially with all the celebrities. So, I mean, who are you going to listen to? Some guys from freaking Kansas City, or are you going to listen to like Russell Brand or something?
I'm going to listen to some guys from Kansas City.
And then also, on top of that, we decided to pretty much center our podcast around one of the most controversial topics, guns.
Yep.
So that doesn't help because, Keith's monetized through YouTube for this channel, but because we talk about guns, it's like limited ads. A lot of advertising, a lot of companies don't want to use ads on a channel that's talking about guns all the time because they think that's like a bad look for them, so
Speaking of guns and controversy, what do you think about that shooting at the parade up in outside Chicago?
So there's been a couple recent shootings, that one, and then there was another one I think they said somewhere in California. But notice where most of these are in areas where they have the strictest gun control.
It is, yes.
Chicago,
It's basically illegal.
Hunter must have to use the potty. He does this.
to get out of the camera.
If you shake it more than twice, you're playing with it, man.
But yeah, so I mean, they can't argue that there needs to be more gun control at that point because they have magazine restrictions there. You can't have more than 10 rounds. In order to buy ammo, you have to have a FOID card and go through this background checks and all that shit. And there's something, it's really hard to get.
Dude, they were saying on the news today that the kid, like 3 years ago, was threatening to kill his entire family, and the cops were called. And then another time he was threatening suicide. He obviously had issues, but the time that he was threatening to kill his entire family, why in the hell was he not brought in?
Yep.
And this whole thing could have been avoided. But yeah, and they're talking about red flag laws. Mm-hmm. They've got them there.
Yep.
They've got all these laws there in place, and it still happened, everybody.
It did.
Just as it always will, because evil in people's hearts is always going to be evil in people's hearts, and it can't stop it.
And notice there's a certain, they're all young, generally 21 or under. They're loners. They've had
issues,
and then their online stuff is pretty that guy was had a bunch of, he created something about mass shootings. But again, Joe Biden wants all these red flag laws. Well, there was a bunch of red flags that you guys just totally freaking
ignored.
Well, and I mean, that guy knew that nobody down there on that street could have a gun on him. So he was shooting at a bunch of unarmed people, and he knew it because it's illegal for them to.
Yep.
I mean, basically illegal for them to carry.
You can carry, but it's really hard to get a license.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's sad. You know?
And that's why, it does suck because we can't monetize a lot of the gun videos. So a lot of the gun review videos or how to do something with a gun doesn't get monetized because it's not suitable for ads. But it's also we got to get the information out there because the press and everybody's trying to suppress anything to do with guns and paint a picture of guns are bad. So people need to actually know that guns are good and how to properly use them on all this stuff. So if we don't get monetized on those, it's okay. It sucks because it's missed income to help with the channel, but
it's information people need. So.
Yeah. And interestingly, you don't see a whole lot of, you don't see anything I'm sure we could go back and find some examples of, multiple shootings here in Kansas, but it's pretty rare. People are allowed to open carry here.
Or conceal carry.
Concealed carry.
Without a license.
Yep.
And, where there's that chance that somebody's going to shoot back at you as a bad guy, you're probably thinking twice.
Yep.
Most of the time, even if it's in say Texas and a lot of people carry guns there, it's generally somewhere where you cannot carry a gun. A school.
Right.
You can't carry a gun in a school. So where are you going to go? Where, nobody else has a gun? A freaking school. Or a sporting event or anywhere. You go where, people can't. They're just sitting ducks. Target rounds. That's what sucks. It's does it have to do with the way kids are being raised, or is it have to do with the video games that they're playing? It's GTA, you could just go up and kill somebody or steal their cards.
That a lot of these parents just buy their kids these games and they don't realize it's rated M for mature, which is 18, and they're buying them for them when they're 10, so they're already used to killing in games and thinking it's okay. So I don't know. Parents need to do a little bit better, and I think just education wise. People just don't value life like they used to.
And I've spoke about this theory a little bit before on this channel, but you know, they used to say, you know, it takes a village to raise a kid. Well, now there's all helicopter parents, and all kids are inside all the time, and so, you know, back in the day, if there was that one crazy kid who was hurting animals and doing weird, creepy shit, everybody would notice. But now that all kids are just kind of confined to their yard, and no one else gets to see that besides the parents, and the parents are like, oh, he's going through a tough time right now, or, you know, something like that. The community in whole doesn't get to see that, oh, wow, this kid might have some problems. We should probably keep an eye on him. And so I feel like those are the kids that are doing these things because, you know, I was talking to Jasmine about this the other day. I was like, it was early spring. It was a beautiful day. I think it was like 75 degrees outside. It was absolutely perfect weather for, if I was a kid, we would have been outside shooting hoops, running around the neighborhood, riding bikes, stuff like that. We're driving through the neighborhood. We didn't see a single kid. And so I make this joke to her. I was like, she's like, isn't that sad? And I was just trying to be funny. And I was like, well, I mean, it's a little sad, but I don't really care because now I can get to work on time a little bit faster because I don't have to worry about hitting a kid in the street. I can drive through the neighborhoods at like 45, 50. Don't have to worry about a kid chasing after a basketball into the street or whatever. And she's like, that's not funny. But I was just thinking, like, you know, when we were kids, we were all out all the time.
The time.
And if there was a creepy guy, or not creepy guy, if there was a kid who was a little bit off, all the parents knew to look out for this kid. Like, you know, he's a little unstable. He's maybe not right in the head or whatever. But now that all parents just keep their kids inside the house playing video games and stuff like that, you never really get to see or notice that this kid is a little off his rocker. So there's not like the community looking out for him or her being, you know, a wild card essentially. And right. I think that's a big thing because, like, you know, Joe, I'm sure back in your day, even in my day, we were like the first generation to get internet. Not internet, but like
be born with it.
Be born with it. I think it was, you know, when I was a sixth grader, we had a whole class of how to work, you know, be on the internet. But before that, kids were just out on their bikes, you know. I remember, I'm sure this was tenfold for you, but like back in the day when it was summer break, I would leave the house on my bike. My mom would say, okay, you got to be back before dark.
Right.
And I would be gone all day. And no one saw me until I got back.
Dude, I was in Boston as a kid. Mm-hmm. And granted, it was a suburb, Waltham. But, you know, you're talking about 7 or 8 miles from downtown Boston. And we weren't supposed to go like outside the city limits of Waltham, you know. We broke that all the time. We'd go into Boston on our bikes.
Yeah, how are you going to check
we're just
in
kids in a big city, and nobody messed with the kids back then. I mean, it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. And, you know, I had a lot of friends, like my buddy Jackie Coughlin. You know, you talk about the odd kid that all the parents are watching. Well, Jackie Coughlin, John Coughlin, he was the kid that none of the other parents wanted their kids to be around him. Mm-hmm. He's kind of weird. He's kind of off. And he and I were good friends. And we got in this rock fight just a few blocks away from my house. Got in this rock fight with these other kids that we didn't even know. And Jackie got hit in the eye with a rock. And it like obscured his vision like for the rest of his childhood in one eye. Mm-hmm. Well, that weird kid, Jackie Coughlin, he went on to become one of the, at least at the time that he wrote this book, he was the most prolific sniper in the history of the Marine Corps. He's got like a ridiculous amount of confirmed kills. He's retired now and living on the beach in California. But that guy, Jackie Coughlin, the weird kid, hey, he channeled it and used it for good.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I mean,
But there's a lot of those kids that don't channel it for right, and then those are the kids that, you know, steal their dad's handgun or AR and go into a
Yeah.
school. But I mean, the fact of the matter is at that time, people were looking out for this kid. So if he walks into a school and he's acting weird or whatever,
Yeah.
everybody knows, okay, this kid's a little off. Maybe we should pay a little attention to him. Now it's like you have no idea what anybody is thinking or doing. And
Yeah.
so,
well, that's what happened. Like I was telling these guys, when you stepped out of the room, it's this kid that shot up the parade. I think they said it was 2019. The cops got called because he threatened to kill his whole family, everybody in his family. And he had a bunch of knives and all this stuff. I don't know if he had any guns at the time, but he was threatening to kill his entire family. I mean, look what he did.
yep.
3 years later. It's like, why didn't somebody step in right there? I mean,
Right.
come on. You talk about red flag laws. If that's not a red flag, I don't know what is.
Do you?
That's crazy.
So do you, from your perspective, I guess a two-part question, do you have an idea what could be causing this to become more of a regular thing, especially the way it is, or how would you think to, instead of being like Joe Biden just banning guns, how would you think a good way to stop these from happening?
I don't think you can. It's sad.
What do you,
I
do
mean,
you know what?
certainly the answer is not to take guns away from good people.
Yeah, that's
I mean, you know, I don't know what the numbers are, but I mean, I would have to think that, I don't know, 99 point something % of gun owners are good law-abiding citizens.
Oh, yeah.
Why would anybody want to hurt all of those people that are, you know, respectable people and, you know, responsible gun owners?
most gun
And-
owners do it for either hunting, self-defense, or just their hobby, and are, like you said, law-abiding citizens. They want to use it for protection, but also as a hobby. You get the small little few that ruin it for everybody. It's like everything
Right.
else. You get this one person that's going to ruin it for everybody. And
Right.
of course, with the media now leaning more towards the left side of things and everything, and it's more, instead of telling the news, it's all their opinion, and they
Based
want
off their political beliefs.
yeah, they would want you to spin the story the way they want it to be spun. You just get the wrong information out there, and it looks like every gun owner is a super right wing freaking supremacist, like white supremacist and all this stuff. It's like, no, like a lot of gun people, like a lot of people I talk to that actually I learned that like guns, we don't talk about guns. It's like, it's one of those things that you're kind of scared to talk to people about now, but then once you actually find out, there's a lot more people that own guns than you think would and actually like them, and it's hard for us to talk about it because it seems like it's such a bad thing to do or talk about. Because
I mean, if you've got somebody who's got that much hate in their heart, where they have no problem killing whoever, I mean, do you really think that, well, if he can't get his hands on a gun, then okay, well, I guess I won't kill anybody then?
right?
Come on, of course he will find another way to vent out that anger.
He's
There's
going
a
to start
will, there's
looking
a
up
way.
how to make
Yes.
pipe bombs or something,
Yes,
you know.
drive over a crowd in his
Yeah.
car, whatever. But hatred is hatred. It does the guns. It doesn't. I mean, you know, and not only that, but I don't know. These shootings may have been going on forever, and we just may not know about all of them. They weren't reported on the same way down through the years. Who knows? It may have always been like this, and we just don't know it. I mean, I don't think it has been, but
But with 24-hour news channels, mass media, you start
Yeah.
finding out about this stuff a lot more. You know, back in the day, if someone were to do this in a small town in the middle of the country, that wasn't national news. You know, that might have been on the local news circuit, but that wasn't going to be pressed. Whereas we have these 24-hour news cycles now, where so it's just any and everything that happens, it just gets. They have to talk about something for 24 hours, so the same story just keeps getting rounded and rounded
Well,
and
then
rounded.
you have all these freaking celebrities that want to use their stardom and their fame to be like, oh, guns are bad, we shouldn't have guns, and then they try and use their power and swing them with people to influence you to think that guns are bad or this is why this is happening, because there's no gun control, which there is tons of gun control in place. So it's you get
And then
these
Alec
freaking-
Baldwin goes and shoots somebody dead on a.
On
Right?
a set.
On the
yeah,
movie
that
set.
was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't his fault.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Come
okay.
on, man.
Proper gun handling. Come on.
Yeah.
Hunter's getting bored.
No, I'm not getting bored. I just
Also-
want to keep our.
Did Keith ever tell you the story about, was it Micah and you that got into the beer fridge?
It was me and a high school girlfriend, I think.
It was?
In the with the Smirnoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I had
I'm sure he's told me, but I'd love to hear.
oh,
it
man, it
again.
was unbelievable.
Stupid.
Had a beer fridge out in the garage, just like all red-blooded American men do. And it was, I don't know how much beer was in there, but it was a lot.
A lot of Miller Lite.
Cases and cases.
Not cases.
There was a lot of beer in there.
Miller
it
Lite.
was full of beer.
We're
just-
talking about cases and cases, Keith.
But just Miller Lite. Keep in mind, this
And
is just
Michelle had a 4-pack.
6-pack.
No,
Wasn't
it was
it?
a 4-pack.
All right.
I
And that's
believe
what they chose to drink.
it was like a wine cooler. It wasn't Smirnoff.
So they could have grabbed anything else, and you would have never noticed.
Not only
and
could
they
he have
chose
grabbed
to grab the
Two. And I'm like, he could. I mean, they literally could have drank a case of beer, and I wouldn't have noticed.
You said
And
that
Michelle goes, "There's 2 wine coolers missing," and I'm like, "What?"
You painted
and
that
she-
picture so perfectly.
Oh, it
I
was
could tell
funny,
exactly where
man.
you're going with
It
it.
was funny, and she was mad, and she grounded him, and I pulled Keith aside. I go, "Man, dude, you literally could have drank 18, 20 beers, and we wouldn't even have known." You go for the wine. Number one, you go for the wine coolers. Come on.
He was
But, man-
trying to appease the lady.
It
But
was about taste.
there's
back
Oh,
then.
it was
there's
great.
4 of these, and there's 400 of something else. And you go-
It was.
I go,
all-
man, you don't get caught.
Here's the thing. I didn't think Mom would keep track of it, but it's Mom. But we didn't.
It was a 4-pack.
I didn't like.
the only thing different in the whole fridge.
Yeah.
Most people when you're underage don't like beer. Like you have to acquire that taste. Well, I never really drink that much, so neither her or I had a taste for beer. I think we did try. I tried one. I'm like, this is disgusting. So then I'm like, oh, well, let's just go with the wine coolers or whatever because they're much better. But yeah, it's
They're
because
very flavorful. Fruity.
it's because I didn't like beer. Maybe I should have just
Tastes like Jolly
sucked
Ranchers.
it up and I would have acquired a taste for beer then.
And
don't
I
know.
told Mom, Mom was mad, and because initially you lied and all this, and I'm like, oh, I go, honey, honestly, that's the least of our worries is him having a few drinks while we're gone. He could have been banging the hell out of this girl and getting her pregnant, and I mean, it could be worse.
Who's to say he wasn't? He could have been using a condom, but he could have still been banging the hell out of that girl.
He could have, he could have liquored her up a little bit and then liquored her up, if you know what I.
I don't think that happened. Oh.
the full house bar and grill.
He was lucky. Like I didn't. I wasn't a drinker in high school. I that was the one and only time I think I ever got in trouble for drinking at all.
It was.
You could have had a way more worse with me growing up. No.
Oh, I know. You were a saint.
But I got fucking grounded the last 2 weeks of summer because of that. Last 2 weeks of summer.
You did it to yourself.
Chrissy Chaos, did you ever get caught drinking in high school?
I didn't start drinking till college, and it's actually Joe Hardigan.
Yeah.
We were there early for band camp the first week, so we went to like 3 fraternities, and he's like, here, take this water bottle, and I started drinking it. It was just straight vodka.
Is that Pittsburgh?
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck is this? It's like rubbing alcohol. And he goes, oh, it's vodka, man. You'll be fine. I'm drinking like one. He's already gone. He's loopy and everything. I had like 2 of them, and I was like, man, okay, now I'm starting to feel something. And we had to walk back to the dorms, and he's sitting there, woo! And he got all crazy, and I had to sit there and help him get back to the dorms drunk.
Vodka.
Yeah, it was McCormick's cheap vodka in a water
Man,
bottle.
you could. That's the thing about vodka. You could pretty much dump it into anything.
Well, he just handed it to me like, here, we're gonna drink this. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Just straight vodka.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's like, the cops won't know. It looks like water. I was like, okay, sure.
Man.
So I'll let Dad tell one last story that, and I think he knows what it is. The rocket story.
The rocket
I
story.
think he tells it the best out of anybody.
Oh, it was funny, man. This kid has always been a pyro, and he bought a rocket. Or did we buy?
You bought a-
We bought him a rocket,
Well, Mom bought me a rocket.
and we took him up to the school, there at South Park School, and the thing wouldn't fire. And she tried and tried and tried. It wouldn't go. So it was a dud. Whatever. We come back home. It's later in the day, and our house. I'm sitting. I forget what we'd eaten or whatever. And I'm washing dishes at the sink, and the coal is downstairs from the kitchen. Keith is upstairs. It was split level, upstairs in his room, and we hear I hear the sound. Basically, you hear the rocket go off. I turn around and look, and smoke is billowing down the stairs, and Nicole sticks her head up from the top of the stairs at the bottom and going down. She sticks her head up like, what was that? And Keith comes out of his room, and he comes downstairs going like clearing all this smoke out of the way. And I'm like, what the fuck? What happened? He goes, the rocket. It just went off. I mean, it was hilarious. Big hole in the ceiling. It went boom.
Put a little dent. It didn't even go through.
Hey,
the
what
wall.
did you do? You cipher down to find the rest of the fuse to get it to light
No,
off, or
so
what'd you do?
I forgot what kind of rocket it was, but it was one with a remote control, and it had a safety key. And it's like, to test it, as long as the safety key is in there, it will not go off. Fucking safety key was in there, and it went off.
Sure did.
So did you push the button?
Yeah,
Sure
but
it
said
did.
If the safety key's in
Just
there,
like
it won't
blame
go
the
Well, why
off.
did you push the button?
Because I had the safety key, and it said in the directions.
So you were just up there just pushing the button
Well, something's wrong with it. I had to
in
fix
the house.
it. I had to fix it. Well, I fixed it.
Now you could go out in the driveway and push the button all you want.
Chris just said blame the dog, so essentially Keith ripped
if I
ass in
would-
the room and then blamed the dog.
Yeah.
If I would have done that outside, it wouldn't have been as good of a story.
Oh, it wouldn't have been any story.
And my mom wasn't home, and Dad's like, "Oh, just wait till your mom comes home." I'm like, "I don't care. I'm scared of when you come home. I'm already in trouble with you." Mom would just be like, it's
If I recall, you really didn't get in any trouble for that. It was funny.
It was an accident, and it didn't catch the house on fire.
No,
You
luckily
knocked,
it
you knocked some drywall off
It,
in the
it
ceiling.
just put a little indent in the ceiling. I mean, unless you
Luckily,
look
it
at
didn't go all the way through and up into the attic and light everything on fire.
It wasn't a cool rocket,
You know?
like that, but yeah, what's that?
Now
what's-
that would have been a story.
Keith can show you some pictures later.
I might
but
have
he
gotten in
showed me a
trouble for that.
picture of a house that was huge. Fire happened, and the whole attic was completely burned through and all this stuff. So that could have been the
Yeah.
worst case scenario there.
Right.
Yeah, I was at a house fire today. I'm going to one tomorrow from fireworks. They were lighting off fireworks with the neighbors and friends, and caught the back of their house on fire.
Oh,
Be doing
shit.
that. But I didn't do that. I didn't catch the house on fire with all the stuff that Mike and I blew up and burned and did all this stuff. We didn't do any major harm.
But as an
I have
insurance
all my
man,
fingers.
now you go to these houses that have been burned or whatever, and your first question is always, "So, was it a rocket?" And the people are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?
How did you know?
Rocket?" And you're like, "Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I just thought it might be a rocket. It looked like a rocket.
Prior
It's like a
experience.
rocket attack."
Last
Yeah.
thing I'll say before I sign off here. Growing up, my grandpa always had a glass eye. And it was like, we never knew how it happened, so we'd always make up stories like, oh, yeah, he was in the war and something happened, he blew out his eye, blah, 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 whatever. We come to find out, after he had passed away, we finally asked about why he had lost his eye, and he lit a mortar.
Oh shit!
The fuse went like 90% of the way down, stopped. He's like, what the fuck's happening? You know, he's a younger kid. Goes, puts his eye over, or looks down and just boom, right into his eye. Fucking blows the eyeball up. They have to put a fake glass eye in. But this whole time, no one ever told us that when we were kids. So this whole time when we were kids, we were like, oh yeah, Grandpa was a war hero. He probably, you know, he was in action and
killed people.
Nope.
It's like he took a rocket in the eye, man.
Nope. He looked over a mortar tube and went, wow. Oh, now I got a plastic or fake eye. And he used to take it out all the time and pull it out and just like hold it in his hand and be like, you guys want to touch it?
What did his eye like socket look like when he did that? Like
It was sunken back compared to the other one.
Was that not like
That's
make you
gnarly.
Yeah, it was
like,
creepy
ugh.
as fuck. He used to take out the glass eye and be like, here, you want to hold it? It's like, no, I don't
Yeah, we
want
get
to
you with
hold
like,
it.
hey, low five.
Like I don't care about the eye. It's like what does the socket look like? Like that'd be nasty. Like
Yeah,
that'd be the thing that freaked me out the most.
it was just like it was sunken. It didn't look.
Was it like black, like a black, like
No, I mean,
empty space?
it definitely. The creepiest part is when he'd pull it out, the whole socket would like
Ugh.
shrink or shrivel a little bit, you know. And then when he put it back in, it would like fill the space and kind of pop it back out. But it was
Did anybody ever say, man, I'll give you $10 if you pop that eyeball out and put it in your mouth? Suck on it for a minute. Give you $20.
we were young kids when this was going on, so no one had the wherewithal to think of something like that. But I just always remember, like, sometimes he'd always do this at, like, Christmas or something. He'd pretend to sneeze really hard, and he'd put his finger in and pull it out and be like, oh, my God, my eye came out. When we were really young, it was like, we didn't know he had a fake eye when we were really young. And it was just like, he's holding his eye in his hand. Oh my God, my eye fell out. Yeah,
That's
crazy.
hilarious.
Yeah. He had a good sense of humor, but it was crazy.
So one last thing before we end this, and we forgot to bring this up on the last 2 podcasts.
Okay, but don't forget the merch drop. But okay.
Actually, you 2 are in charge of this merch drop now.
Fuck yeah, we are.
I'm putting IT and our semi-guest on that.
I am the host of this show, and you're looking to
I
be
am
my
the
co-host.
host of this show. That's great.
So we were in. It was our very last night in Nashville, and we were watching the movie Grown Ups. And you know, at the end of the movie, they have that basketball competition scene. And
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen it. Is that the one with Adam Sandler and what's his name?
Kevin
James?
James.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
Kevin James, Chris Rock.
a bunch of people is in it.
Yeah.
But so there's a basketball scene where, you know, the adults play this other group of people that they beat back in high school, whatever. So I think it was Alan that brought this up.
Alan brought it up.
He's like, so who do you think's the best basketball player out of all of us? And Chris just immediately goes, I am. And
No shit.
And this guy, so like right before this, gets up and is walking to the kitchen like, oh, my knees hurt. And then he's the first one to say, I will beat anybody in basketball. And then we're like,
All right.
we're like, okay, you could probably, you know, whatever. And then he's like, Joe's like, do you think you could beat Hunter? And Chris is like, oh, hell yeah. And Chris, when we're like egging it on, Chris got up and was hopping. It's like, what happened to your hurt knees, bro? Like, you're acting like...
Adrenaline, baby.
Yeah. Chris, just like out of nowhere, was just like, I'm going to beat everybody. And he is confident that in a one-on-one and going 1 point for 1 point, he's going to beat Hunter 11-5.
So who won?
No, we
We
haven't.
haven't played yet.
You guys haven't played yet?
Also,
Let's do it right now.
the way you typically play one-on-one is the average shot inside the three-point line would be considered 1, and then if you hit a three-pointer, it's 2 if you're playing one-on-one. Chris is like, well, I've never played it that way. All shots are 1 point, so we're going to have to play it that way. But I also have decided not to talk any shit. I'm just going to let Chris keep amping this up.
So you think still 11-5?
Yep.
11-5.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you a good basketball player?
Yep.
All right.
What about your knees though? Because you've been...
I go to the doctor tomorrow for that.
Of course, his knees were... his knees were hurting, and then we talked.
He's gonna give me a shot, and then we're gonna have the game the next day.
But how
Here's
crazy
the other
was it?
thing.
Like he was like literally limping, and then all of a sudden he's like fine, and then we were like, all right, let's find an open Walmart, go find a basketball and a freaking court, and let's.
All the Walmarts were closed.
Yeah.
We couldn't.
Like Chris was like, let's do this.
I found a
Also-
basketball court and everything.
Also,
Wow.
Chris, so we did the IVs when we were down there, which I got to tell you, even if you're not hungover, just in general, it's going to make you feel phenomenal. You get straight lined electrolytes and then vitamins and stuff. Well, Chris got pain medication put in his as well. So his knees were bugging the shit out of him. He gets this pain medication, and I think he was feeling like, ooh, I feel good with this pain medication in my knees. I'm good
Oh,
to
shit.
go.
So this has to happen soon.
But I'm also pretty good at basketball, so we'll see how
All right,
Christopher
is there-
Columbus goes
Do you have a
over
hoop
here.
out there?
I don't.
There's a full court. We're only gonna play half court, but there's a full court right up the street from here.
So
And we've
this
seen a
this
basketball.
has to happen soon.
Oh, and by the way, Chris said he was gonna break not one but both of my ankles. So
How
With
did,
your crossover?
Yep.
Oh, boy.
how did you describe you were going to beat him? You said something about like you were going to back him up, or
he was gonna back me down, and then there was nothing I could do against his hook shot. He said.
Oh, really?
Well, I've got about 3 inches on Chris, and then
3 inches.
not to
Okay.
not to even talk about how much longer my arm is than his. So, boom.
Apparently, Chris is very competitive.
And I'm even
Apparently so.
Huh?
I was slunched over.
So when's this going to go down?
It
Doesn't
needs,
matter.
It needs to go down soon.
I also have to play him and his brother in
Disc
disc golf, which that's the one. Chris may be way better at basketball than I anticipate, but in disc golf, there is not a chance they're gonna be.
We haven't played in like months either.
Doesn't matter.
It's gonna be interesting.
Keith, what do you think about
it's-
that?
So Chris and Nathan are going to play as a pair, and they're going to take the best shot out of both of them
They're gonna play doubles, so
versus Hunter, who's just solo. So Nathan is apparently super confident too. Thinks it's going to come down to the last hole between him and Chris and Nathan. Him and Chris,
versus Chris and Nathan.
Yeah, and Nathan's like super confident that it's come down to that because they're playing Rosedale, and
That's all he plays.
but he sent me his score when he played, and he was like pars and bogeys. I'm like,
Is that that course that's up at the top of Mission Road, on top of that hill on Mission Road off
Yes.
I-35?
Yes.
I've never played it.
Yes, it is.
They have,
Yeah.
I've never been in there, but I just know there's a disc golf course up there.
but again with Chris being competitive and super cocky, and Nathan apparently super cocky too. Think
What the fuck? You guys are
Right?
cocky. All right.
like,
Hey, man, that's
I guess
okay.
they're very competitive.
That's all right.
I love
Very
Nate the
competitive.
Great. I love Nate the Great. He's an awesome guy.
I do too. He's a super kick-ass guy.
But the scorecard that he sent Keith, I would have to be like stumbling over drunk to shoot that bad.
But the advantage that Chris and
I'd
Nathan,
have to be stumbling over drunk.
But Chris can crush a drive, and he's been working on his putting, so they get to combine their shots.
yeah. So basically, they get two shots. So whoever does the best, that's where they go from. So they get two shots at it, and whoever
We'll see what happens. I'm interested to see about the basketball game.
I'm more interested to see about the basketball game, honestly.
And in my thought of thoughts, I think it could probably go either way. But the disc golf match, I know for a fact I am going to bury these guys. Like,
I mean, is there any way that you can like document this and put it on this channel here?
Keith's not playing in the disc golf or the basketball. He's going to be recording the whole time. So if I have to eat my words on the basketball, that's fine. But if I have to eat the words on the disc golf, I may kill myself because
Don't do that. You got a baby on the way, man.
Can't say
it's
that
just
red flag.
it's just frisbee.
Red flag.
because there's no chance that these two are beating me in disc golf. It's just not happening. I'm just telling you now.
I'm gonna play, but I'm gonna be the referee because we're gonna play by tournament rules.
Yep.
So you have to play by tournament rules. So
Yep.
I'm gonna watch, make sure everybody
So
does.
He's gonna make sure Chris, after he tries to get out of the woods and it only goes a foot forward, and then he throws his next shot and still calls it the same shot. Keith's watching out for
I
that.
don't do that.
I know you don't.
You guys are funny.
I'm just giving you shit, Chris.
But I'm most excited for this basketball game because the way that Chris was just like, "Fuck
No
yeah, I'm
hesitation.
Gonna, yeah." He's
No
like,
hesitation.
Me, I'm the best basketball player. Like, I'm gonna break both your ankles. And we're like,
That's very confident.
we're like,
And
where,
you know what-
where did this come from?
You know what Joe told me too? He's like, I didn't want to ruin this hilarious shit talking that was going on, but Joe is like, I know for a fact I could beat Chris's ass in basketball too. So now,
Really?
Beat me.
So now you got two challengers.
All right, let's go. I'll take you both. Let's go.
that's
I'll do
gonna
it right now.
Are you gonna let Joe and I play on the team like you and?
What are we playing? 21?
But yeah,
Double egg goes back to 0.
I don't know. But hey, this has been an absolute phenomenal podcast. Joe, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh man, this was great, fellas. That was fun. Are we already done?
You killed this.
yeah.
Yep.
We keep him at. We went a little over an hour, but that's fine. Totally fine.
That was a good time,
We
fellas.
would-
It
would you come
was
back
a
on?
good time.
3 delicious whiskeys.
You're definitely coming back on. You've been besides Joe, you've been the easiest guest to talk to
What,
by far.
Joe Hardigan?
Yeah.
He was better than me?
He was not.
That's it. I'm going to take him down in basketball. That's it.
Hey, I did not say better. I said you guys have both been great podcast guests.
I'm
And,
5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, just like Rudy, and I could kick Joe's ass in basketball.
Hey, will you do me a favor,
Sure.
Joe?
Yes, sir.
Tell everybody to look out for our merch that's dropping.
Everybody, look out for their merch that's dropping. What
Hell-
merch have you guys got dropping?
Yeah.
These two are. I'm hiring you two to do that.
All right.
I don't have
Keith.
the time to do it.
All right, Keith. Sign
Is it
out.
Workbench After Hours merch?
No, Boomstick.
Boomstick merch.
All
Okay.
Boomstick, yep.
BoomstickTactical.com.
No, it's just gonna be the Boomstick shirts like I have.
Oh,
but
nice.
on a bigger scale.
I need a hat.
And
Yeah.
nicer material, hats. We're thinking tanks, crew
Shorts.
necks, hoodies, shorts, you name it.
I could use a nice cocksock.
We actually
Boomstick Tactical.
we actually are just taking average sized men and building the cocksock off of that. So
Beautiful.
you are in luck.
Nice.
All right, we're out of here, guys. Chris.
Have a good one.
Nice. Thanks, everybody.